Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Creation Entertainment Podcast. I'm Kit Bowen. We've got a really fun show for you today. Creation Entertainment's co-CEO, Adam Malin, and I talk about our favorite movie and TV aliens. We go from the alien, the xenomorph from the 1979 Alien movie from Ridley Scott, to good aliens like E.T. and Close Encounters. So tune into a great list of our favorite aliens and make sure you let us know some of your favorite aliens. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that great stuff. Have fun.
Hi guys, welcome to the Creation Entertainment Pop Culture Cinema Squad. We're back again. I'm Adam Malin, joined as always by the illustrious and beautiful Kit Bowen. Kit,
thank you very much. Thank you. Yay, we're here. Yay, I love doing these.
Happy holidays, Kit, and to our audience. Wow, yes. 25 is just about gone.
I know.
Ridiculous.
I know, and these podcasts have been such a great highlight for me this year. I hope you guys are all liking them too. It's a lot of fun for Ad and I.
Yeah, we love them, and we hope that our audience does too. And Kit, it's been so much fun discoursing with you. And we've got a hot one for our audience in the next couple of weeks. This one is our counting down of our 25 top aliens. I mean,
mostly cinematic, but we threw in a few TV here and there, but mostly cinematic, yes.
Yeah, and who doesn't love a good alien? Now, a couple of caveats. If you haven't seen any of these movies, tough luck. Because there'll be some spoilers, but mainly just information. And also, even though we're counting down the top 25, it's in no particular order.
No, it's not.
I mean, they're all of our alien children. How can you pick one over the other? You know, even if most of them want to just eat us. No, but we're going to have a lot of fun with this Kit, and we'll see if we can remember the number counting down. I'm terrible with numbers, but we'll try anyway.
Yeah.
Counting down again in no particular order from 25. Number 25 is one of the great cinema aliens, the Queen alien from Aliens.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, as if Alien didn't rock our world when Aliens came out. I mean, I just loved that movie. James Cameron, I mean, you know.
Yeah. Well, he took it. I mean, both films stand alone as amazing films, but you know, Cameron, he took it to the action level, and it was just high octane the whole time through. But the best thing is then we finally see who's been laying all these eggs, all these face huggers, and she's quite the something. And of course, it wouldn't have been made quite as great if you didn't have Sigourney Weaver's reaction to seeing the Queen. Oh, my favorite part of this whole thing, of that whole scene, is when, you know, she's got the flamethrower and she's like, if you don't let it, basically, with no dialogue, basically, you let us go. I got the little girl, you let us go, I'm not going to do anything. And so, you know, you see the Queen kind of talking to her soldiers, and they kind of scurry off. And then, you know, she starts to back away, and then she sees a little sly soldier like coming up behind her like that, and she looks at the Queen, and then she cocks her head like this, and then just flames all the eggs, and then that really pisses the Queen off. Anyway, I just love that little cock of her head. She goes,
I mean, and also, of course, that classic line, "Get away from her, you bitch," is one of the great sci-fi moments. 1986, of course, directed by James Cameron, and Jim also was one of the designers of the alien Queen, and of course, hell hath no fury, like a queen scorned, but
a mama queen.
Yeah, it's like a mother scorned. It's great because they were trying to delve into alien life cycle and give it some kind of a biological basis, which I thought was great. And who better to create a practical giant alien queen at that point in time, 1986, than the great late Stan Winston.
Stan Winston, yes. Yes.
A
Well, he
fixture.
created the xenomorph. He made it come to life. So
Yeah,
yeah,
a fixture of Creation and Fangoria Weekend of Horrors events for
right.
many years. Very beloved guy. And I guess Cameron designed the initial concept art because Cameron actually drew his own storyboards before they were doing digital animatics. Cameron, is a great artist, and did the initial concept art, and then Stan and his team kind of fully realized the creature over at Stan Winston Studios. He did have major contributions from some other names that some people may be familiar with, in particular Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr., who went on to have their own effects studio, and those guys are incredible talents.
Yeah.
They've also graced the creation stages. And the final creature was like a 15-foot tall animatronic puppet with multiple puppeteers, hydraulics, and cables. I mean, this thing was incredible.
Incredible. Incredible.
So they'll always hold a warm place in our heart.
Yes.
Now, moving on, Kit.
Yes.
Number 24, an alien close to my heart. The one, the only galaxy spanning, earth devouring Galactus.
Ah, yes. Yes. Your fave.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the great Jack Kirby. For those of you that have been living in another time continuum and haven't heard this story, again, creation started with comic book conventions in the 70s. And through the ultimate act of Kismet, Jack Kirby's sister was teaching at the same high school as my mom. And through my mom and Jack's sister, I got to meet Jack and have the king, as we call him, Jack King Kirby, come to our shows, which was thrilling. But even before I met Jack, I mean, I was hooked on Fantastic Four, and in particular, the Silver Surfer and Galactus.
Yeah.
Now, we know, Kit, that they did a pass at Galactus in the second Fantastic Four film, which did feature a fabulous Silver Surfer, and that we'll be talking about later, but they completely flubbed Galactus in that movie.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's with this recent First Steps film this year,
Yes.
2025, directed by Matt Shackman, that Galactus has finally been represented on the screen in a way that I just think was so fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. You were very happy with that, being that you were very close to the alien from the comic book. So yeah,
That's
great
cool.
that they got it right.
Marvel's head of visual development, Ryan Meinerding, was sort of kind of guiding the look at that, and they actually put in an actor, Ralph Ineson,
Yeah.
in the full costume suit, which was crafted by costume designer, the one and only Alexander Byrne, who is, of course, an incredible talent.
Yep.
And I guess Matt Shackman also played a role in shaping the approach and using a real costume with digital enhancements. But it really,
Yeah, he was pretty formidable in that film for sure.
I mean, amazing. And of course, I always love any chance to trash Manhattan. Being a New York boy, I feel I have the right to see New York City destroyed.
Well, it's always destroyed.
Yeah.
It's like every movie, it's either LA or New York. Sometimes it's, Las Vegas, but mostly it's New York and LA.
Yeah. Anyway, that was wonderful. So since we're talking about Galactus, coming in at number 23, we might as well talk about the Silver Surfer.
Right.
From Rise of the Silver Surfer, 2007, directed by a wonderful director, Tim Story.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the one that's played by Doug Jones, correct?
Creation's own Doug Jones.
Yes.
We've known Doug for 1,000 years. Doug has appeared in many Creation and Fangoria Weekend of Horrors events. Of course, he is one of Guillermo del Toro's muses, having appeared as multiple ghosts, fiends, and creatures from the Del Toro pantheon, including Pan's Labyrinth, the
He's played
Hellboy films,
Shape of Water.
I mean,
Yeah.
forget about it. Doug has done all those. And Doug really delivered in the motion capture for the Silver Surfer, which was finally surface textured and rendered digitally by the great Weta Digital.
Right. Yep.
Now, Kid, I've got a great Weta story for you.
Okay.
I don't think our viewers have heard this, but we first met Richard and the team of Weta about, oh my goodness, 30 years ago when we first started running the Xena conventions, which, by the way, we love Xena. We love Lucy and Renee and the whole cast, and of course, Rob Tappert. And That has been a wonderful experience. 30 years later, we're still running Xena shows, which is
Right.
crazy.
I know.
Might be the longest running event franchise in creation history, maybe other than Star Trek. But we first got to meet Richard and the team of Weta back then. Before it was Weta Digital, it was just Weta, and they primarily were armorers doing armory props for Xena. And we used to actually have a commercial relationship with them. They crafted full production copies of Xena Chakram for us.
Wow.
And so we used to sell the chakrams online and at shows, which was very exciting. But at some point subsequent to that, the great Peter Jackson acquired Weta. And Weta then went on to become a full-fledged effects company. Um, Amazing miniature work. Some of the miniatures in like Lord of the Rings are like,
Right.
20-foot miniature sets that are amazing. But
Yeah, I know. I've heard that if you go to New Zealand, you can actually take a tour over there, and it's supposedly an unbelievable deal. So yeah.
And then, of course, as digital CG and all that came, a portion of Weta spun off as Weta Digital, and they did kind of most of the digital design and visual work for Silver Surfer, refining the character's kind of reflective liquid metal appearance and movement style,
Right.
with Doug doing the motion capture.
Right.
However, I will mention that the wonderful company Spectral Motion, who reps of that company had been at Creation Events, they built full-size physical maquettes that were used for lighting reference and design approval, sculpted by incredible creature effects designer Jose Fernandez. So it was a big team effort to bring Silver Surfer to life. Of course, I've loved Silver Surfer since Jack Kirby first introduced him 1,000 years ago.
Right.
And
he's kind of a complicated alien because he's not necessarily all that evil.
Honestly, he's a very noble character. He was forced by Galactus to become Galactus's herald, or his world would be destroyed.
Right.
Of course, that's not really a justification for allowing other worlds to be laid to waste. And in fact, having that lapse of conscience is what ultimately had him go against Galactus.
Right.
But he's really a pretty noble dude, and it's such a great Kirby character. Of course, the concept basically came because Kirby lived in, Brooklyn, grew up like so many of us from New York were enamored by California and the surfing scene and the Beach Boys. So that was all kind of rummaging around in Kirby's head when he said, well, why don't I create a superhero on a surfboard? And they did a great job with him.
Yeah.
And yes, I thought the female Silver Surfer in First Steps was wonderful too.
Julia Gardner, that's who played from Ozark. Yeah.
Julia Gardner.
Yeah.
And so, these Silver Surfer characters, Heralds of Galactus, they've definitely got the right stuff for sure. There also were some concept artists involved in their design, Scott Patton and Aaron Sims.
Right.
And there was additional design input from Tim Story. So, and just as a side note, Doug did the motion capture, but Lawrence Fishburne provided the character's voice, which is kind of cool.
That's right.
Doug actually wore a practical silver suit that was kind of replaced and with CG by Weta Digital. So really amazing. Okay, continuing. What number are we at? Is this 22?
Yeah, 23. Yeah, 22. Yes, 22. We've done 3 so far. Yes.
Kit, one of the most terrifying creatures in motion picture history, is the shape-shifting thing, particularly from the John Carpenter version in 1982.
Oh my God. Well, to be honest with you, I've only seen bits and pieces of the original where James Arness, right, plays kind of like a humanoid thing, I suppose.
Not a bad film, but there's no visceral, terrifying payoff to it. I mean, I guess unless you lived in the 50s and you thought that, James Arness in this doofy-looking suit is scary, but
yeah. Okay, so the best thing about John Carpenter's The Thing is that, yes, the alien is horrifying when we finally do see it, but the film really plays upon paranoia, right? Which a lot of, like the Body Snatcher films and all of that, they play on our paranoia. So here you are, you have this group of men that are isolated in this terribly cold place, right? And they've encountered this, and of course, the Thing itself, when we finally see it, I think it's the best scene is when it takes the head off of the guy and grows the legs. And the
I
one,
mean,
pardon my French, everyone. The one guy goes, "You've got to be fucking kidding me!" As it scurries across the floor, you're like,
well, I mean,
"Holy
because
hell!"
it's basically got the body of a crab and the head of a social worker, Kit. So naturally, it's going to look
Oh,
like that. 1982, all practical. There was some stop motion that they used,
mhm.
but there's way before computer generated effects. And the brilliant 22-year-old Wunderkind, who was the creature designer, special makeup effects creator, it was the amazing Rob Bottin.
Oh, okay. Wow,
And
young.
Rob
He was
led a
young.
massive effects team, created the iconic transformations using animatronics, puppetry, mechanical rigs, foam latex, gels, slime. So it was really pretty well much him. Although the great Stan Winston did do some work on the dog thing sequence when Rob
And
was.
that's also the other horrifying sequence when those poor dogs in the
uh,
stuck in the pen with that thing, and it's all shaking, and it's like shooting
uh,
out its little.
Kit, I have a revelation for you and the creation audience. The great Adam Malin walked out of the first time I saw this movie at the 10-minute mark when I watched the dogs being attacked.
You're like, that's it.
I couldn't take it. I
That's
couldn't
it.
take it. I have my own beautiful doggies at home, and I'm like,
I'm out.
I walked out of the movie theater. I mean, it's a bit of a wussy move. And when I
And
finally
how old were you?
Well, 1982, I was
Oh,
born in
okay.
56, so
Still,
76,
it
20.
bothered you.
I mean, I was 26 years old. It's a wuss move, but I always suspend disbelief. I take these things too seriously. They end up in my sleep. I mean, it's just this was a shocking film. And I mean, the great John Carpenter, so entertaining, just gave us so many great films during an era, a practical era, without any CG. I mean, Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, The Thing, Escape from New York. John was an incredible genre director of the time, and The Thing is arguably his most disturbing and scary film with the brilliant work by Rob Bottin. Really a monumental.
And the great acting too, Kurt Russell. Everybody in the film too were just spot on. Brimley. Yeah, it was a good film.
Now, for you comic book fans out there, did you know that some of the conceptual designs were also rendered by a great comic book artist, Mike Plug? Some of you may know his name. Mike did some of the creature designs as well as Carpenter himself. So,
All right.
epic film. Okay,
Great film.
where are we at? 20?
21.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
I'm keeping count.
Kit, in 2002, Creation was approached by none other than the great M. Night Shyamalan. And he said to us, via representatives, mind you, not him directly, but that he wanted us to promote at our conventions a new film that he had coming out, and he would provide us with a video introduction. And he did, in fact, give us a video welcome from Mel Gibson. And this is, by the way before all of the controversy in Mel's career. Whatever you think about Mel as a person, guy's an unbelievable actor. I mean,
Yep.
you can't take that from him.
No.
And anyway, he did this 5-minute video intro to our audience to introduce them to Signs,
You're kidding me. Wow.
which came out in 2002. So this is going back about 23 years. But I mean, we were very honored to introduce the film to our audiences. And then when Signs came out, I mean, it scared the crap out of me.
And it was his biggest hit. It really was.
Yeah.
It made more money than even 6 Cents. So yeah, it was his biggest hit. I know. I think ultimately, because you don't really see them a whole lot. Again, it's more a lot of sounds, a lot of movement. But when you do find, when you see him a couple of times, like when they're all, Joaquin Phoenix's character's glued to the television, right? And he's watching all the coverage, and there's this birthday party going on, and they're like, some of this will be very disturbing. And then you see the thing kind of walking across the
Oh,
this green. But it was at the very end, where he's got the kid in his arms and he's gonna do the poison gas, and yeah, horrifying, horrifying.
Horrifying. I mean, even like out in the cornfield, it scared the crap out.
Yes.
You know, I know everybody's like Children of the Corn, all those things, but no, this is the ultimate scary cornfield. And of course, the aliens, how alien signs, alien sigils that they carve in macro in cornfields, that whole thing
Yep.
was a big kind of concept of the film. And also the fact that, I mean, Shyamalan's story is so multi-layered.
Yes.
The priest, his own
He was a minister. He was like a minister.
minister.
Yeah.
His wife is killed in a
Killed.
horrible accident. She says cryptic things to him as she's about to
Signs.
pass. And then the things that she says end up becoming prophetic statements that guide this minister's movements
Yeah.
at the climax of the film.
Yeah.
And
Swing away.
the story construction is so great, Kit.
I know. So I've always liked M. Night. I think I know he's gotten some bad raps in the past. He's made some real flops, but I've always enjoyed. He's a storyteller. I mean, he really is like a storyteller. And with Signs, what I've loved the most was you have this horrifying invasion kind of thing happening, and this small family who's been shattered by tragedy, right? Or trying to piece together, and then there's such an emotional core when he's telling each kid when they were born their stories. I mean, all of it. You're crying at the same time as being horrified. Yeah, he's a great storyteller. Always
so
has
great. And I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is so incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. A couple of notes on the design. None other than the great Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas's company, did the major concept design modeling and the final CGI look of the aliens. Stephen Fangmeyer of ILM, their visual effects supervisor, but M. Night gave some of the direction for the concept of the aliens. He wanted them to be simple, naked, natural, and unsettlingly humanoid. I mean, at the end of the movie, when you're looking at that television set and the creature's reflection is in the television set, that just about knocked me dead. That scared the hell of me.
Here's a little insight into my family life. My husband has a very huge problem with Signs. He doesn't like the movie because logically it doesn't make sense to him. Why would aliens be where water could kill them? Why would they land on a planet that's 3/4 water? I go, honey, you gotta look past that kind of stuff. He goes, I can't. Why would they want to?
I mean, that does make sense, but they wanted the corn.
They wanted the corn.
That's right. It was lots of corn on the planet Earth, so naturally they came a calling. Listen, it scared the crap out.
It's a great movie, though. It's a great movie.
They did do some practical creature suits and prosthetic concepts that were supervised by a guy, Manny Knowles, but ultimately these were replaced by the ILM digital versions.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Signs is a landmark film, as you say, incredible storytelling. Indeed, there are signs, and I tend to be very fatalistic and believe that there are a lot of signs and that everything happens for a reason in my life. So it's not hard to suspend disbelief and get swept away by that film.
Yeah. All right. I think we're on 20.
Yes, and Kit, one of the great. Now, you just recently saw the latest entry in this canon. I haven't seen it yet, so you'll have to tell us about it. But this is really talking about the original film. Of course, I'm speaking of none other than that wonderful, big-jawed Predator.
Ah, yes.
1987, Predator. The original film.
Yep.
He was played by a tragic actor who passed away, I believe, of AIDS, Kevin Peter Hall.
Yes.
Guy was about 8 feet tall. He was Harry and the Hendersons, and he was in Misfits of Science. But the primary design of the Predator is the great Stan Winston again.
My God, that man. Wow.
He came up with the mandibles, the dreadlock appendages, the armor, the creature anatomy.
Yeah.
So, and also along with a lot of guidance from the film director, the great John McTiernan.
Yes. Yes. And of course, with some classic lines from Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, mainly calling it, "You're one ugly mofo," is basically what he says.
I mean, yeah, and of course Arnold is in the film is great, but this is an amazing thing. This is little known fact. I guess James Cameron was on a flight with John McTiernan, and they were talking about the movie,
Mm-hmm.
which was in production
Yep.
or in development. And Cameron suggested, I've always wanted to see a creature with mandibles. And that inspired McTiernan and Stan Winston
Oh, interesting.
to create that. They started by building this animatronic head, and it was just so effective.
Yeah.
Um, Predator has gone on through many iterations, and recently a couple of versions were really fantastic. I did see Prey, and I absolutely loved it. But you just saw Badlands.
I did. I did. And so
Tell
now we
us
have
a little about your thoughts about that.
well, we get to see an entirely different view of the predator. So, up until pretty much this film,
Yeah,
they've been the villain. They come, they're like a Klingon sort of feel to me, is because they're a warrior tribe, and their whole MO is that you have to prove your worth, you have to prove yourself, you have to go find trophies, you have to hunt. Basically,
yeah,
you must hunt.
yeah,
And that means to go wherever you have to go to do that. And so, of course, and with the movies we've seen, they go to Earth and that kind of thing, and they really respect, like in Prey, they kind of respect the people who fight back, or respect the people who know how to fight or how to hunt or how to defend themselves.
right.
So they're very intelligent. And so yeah, in Badlands, we see this young predator who is basically the runt of his family, and his father wants to kill him, basically wants to get rid of him. They don't take to weaknesses, so he wants to kill him, and his older brother is supposed to kill him, and his older brother won't do it because they're close,
Yeah,
and sends off the younger one to this horrible planet where everything on the planet wants to kill you and eat you. So he is now there tasked to kill the mighty predator on the planet, some giant huge monster thing. So, and then he ends up, it has a tie-in to Alien as well, because it's Weyland-Yutani. They've got basically, droids there, not droids, androids there. Like Elle
yeah,
Fanning is an android. So they have androids there to also capture this beast because it has regenerative powers. And just like Alien Earth, they're going around the galaxy collecting these things for bioweapons. So anyway, he ends up having to, the Predator kid, I call him a kid, ends up having to partner with half of an android played by Elle Fanning, and it's a really great movie. It's lots of great action, but also it's a funny movie that's kind of like a buddy comedy, and a quest
yeah.
film, and just has all kinds of elements that you've never really experienced in a Predator movie before. So
Yeah.
really, really top notch.
We should all get out and see that. I'm going to certainly see that. And speaking of Weyland-Yutani, kid, I didn't know if you knew that our beautiful creation offices in Glendale. Did you know that the company that leases the building is Weyland-Yutani?
No.
So I mean,
Uh-oh.
you never know what's going to turn up on your elevator.
Or what's going to be hiding in my office behind my
Um,
desk?
we just, by the way, had a wonderful Christmas party at Creation celebrating a triumphant 2025.
Yes.
34 events, of which you and I were at, I was at 30 of them. You were at most of them too.
Yeah.
It was a great year. We're so grateful to everybody that attended our shows and all the creatives and the talent at the shows. It was an amazing year, and we're so looking forward to 26.
Yes. Okay.
Now,
Yes.
we're on to number,
19.
all right, Kit, a movie that was seminal in shaping my love of science fiction. It's the first great sci-fi film, in my opinion, is Forbidden Planet, 1956.
Yeah.
This movie was so ahead of its time. In fact, until 2001, in 1968, I think it was the best sci-fi film of all time. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that may debate that, but this movie was incredible. And there is two entities in that film that I think are incredible. There's the Krell themselves.
Right.
We never really get to see, even though they did a design for them, um, and the monster of the id, which is really, I mean, it is an alien creature, but it's also really a figment of the subconscious of Morbius, who's on that planet. And I won't, run through the whole story concept. Most of our viewers, I think, are familiar with it. But the Krell were originally designed by the MGM art department. It's an MGM movie with art direction by Arthur Lonergan, who was actually a major force at MGM Art. And although we never got to see the Krell, they made the decision not to show them, which is kind of cool.
Right.
All of the architecture of the Krell laboratories, the Krell doorways, is informed by the concept that they came up with. So the doorways of the Krell are pentagons. And so imagine that the Krell were probably sort of a horizontal aspect, not that different from, let's say, Stan Winston's version of the supreme alien from Invaders from Mars.
Right.
They were big, kind of horizontal and wide. There was also another MGM great, Cedric Gibbons, who was the production designer. And I mean, the production design of Forbidden Planet is so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And then the matte paintings in the movie are so incredible.
Yeah.
Who came up with this amazing Krell architecture, these power plants, these 20-mile deep power plants that they go down into with those matte paintings are so amazing.
It's got a great cast too.
I mean, it's got a great cast, of course. They had Francis Leslie Nielsen, but Disney Animation was responsible for the invisible monster of the id. So when it finally can be seen in those, those particle blasts,
Yeah.
the thing, they finally set up a force field around the ship because they know this thing is out there.
Yeah.
And it starts coming through the force field. They start firing at it. And in all of these particle beams that they're firing at it, you see the shape of the monster of the id. And it is, I mean, for 1956, terrifying.
Right.
So terrifying that when Adam Malin was in kindergarten,
Oh.
don't ask me how, they brought Forbidden Planet to show at PS 179 grade school.
What?
Yeah. And so it was in reels, you know what I'm saying? And they wouldn't let us see they wouldn't even let the kindergarten kids see Robbie the robot. So after like the first 10 minutes, they're like, well, kindergarten kids, you got to get out of here. And we're like, what the fuck? And I said to the teacher, why are we being made to leave before we get to see any of the movies? She says, well, don't worry about the robot. He's just like me. He's made out of balloons.
But it kind of looks like it.
I'm just saying, though, how could you? I mean, I'm scarred for life, kid. How could you do that to a kindergarten kid who loves sci-fi? I mean, Morris and Sally Malin never had a problem, with me watching anything. My mom would let me go to New
I'm
York
kind of
City.
a bad influence myself. My daughter, I got her to watch Jurassic Park when she was like 1.5. So okay.
I let my 3-year-old daughter Molly watch Sleepy Hollow and watch people get their heads lopped off by the headless horseman. Anyway, listen, the monster from the Disney animation and all of the designs for this magnificent film really for 1956 groundbreaking. I'll never forget it. It's I think the first great sci-fi film. Kit, what number are we at?
We're at 18 now.
Okay, Kit, we're going to talk about the great Frank Herbert's magnum opus, Dune. And specifically, I think, although I love the David Lynch version, I particularly love Denis Villeneuve's 2021 Dune.
100%. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately for David Lynch, it wasn't quite his MO. And it was just, he didn't have the technology at his fingertips like Villeneuve has. So yeah, Villeneuve, sorry, Villeneuve. So yeah, unbelievable
Well,
visuals.
technically, the Harkonnens and the Atreides, they're aliens, and I love them. They're humanoids, but I mean, I do love them.
Oh my God, Stellan Skarsgård. I just wonder how long it took for him to get in all that gross makeup. Ugh.
It's really, really fantastic. But I guess maybe the most notorious creature from this movie is the great sandworms.
Yes, yes.
And this Denny's production designer, Patrice Vermette, kind of, based upon Herbert's descriptions,
Hmm.
realized this creature with the digital work done by VFX supervisor Paul Lambert and DNEG visual effects team with plenty of guidance from Denis Villeneuve. And I do love the way that the sandworm moves, the oscillations of its mouth, the hairs, and I
Yeah.
mean,
And in the sequel as well, how they learn to, take these things and they become their mode of transportation. I think that's fantastic.
I mean,
It's like a rite of passage to be able to ride a sandworm.
it looks pretty tough, but honestly, it's even harder to ride a bus in New York City. I'm just saying. So, um, anyway,
Yes, sandworms are very are spectacular.
we love Dune.
We do. We love Dune. We love
And
Dune.
great Frank Herbert. We're looking forward to installment number 3.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, number,
17.
well, in 2005, up in Santa Clarita, where I lived for many years and just north of LA, there were strange and mysterious red lights in the sky, and it seemed otherworldly. And I saw these things, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Little did I know that they were filming part of Steven Spielberg's 2005 War of the Worlds.
Oh.
And I thought that it was a great film.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The aliens themselves were, your typical, you only get a chance to really see them at the end when they come out of when they like shrivel up into whatever at the very end. But those machines were terrifying.
Awful,
Terrifying. And,
awful.
and just, the way they would fertilize the ground with blood. I just was
Oh,
like, this
God.
is horrifying. And, Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning were just, they're the ones who made it horrifying for us, especially poor Dakota Fanning, because, that little girl had to see all kinds of horrible stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, I think the machines were absolutely,
Spielberg was on top of his game for that one, for
they
sure.
were terrifying. This was an ILM tour de force, the whole
Yeah.
film. The creatures, interestingly enough, were designed primarily by Ryan Church and Doug Chang. Now, Doug Chang has been one of George Lucas's right-hand production and creature designers for decades.
Yeah.
He's a true genius. And then they also had visual effects supervisors, Pablo Hellman and the great Dennis Muren, who are also, these guys worked on Star Wars films for decades.
Yeah.
So Stephen was very lucky to have the ILM team to help him realize both the creatures and the amazing war machines,
Yeah.
which you say were beyond terrifying. So really, I think a pretty remarkable film.
Yeah.
Hey, where are we at?
We're at, I believe we're at 16.
Okay. One of the first films to employ CG creatures in such an effective manner was Paul Verhoeven's epic Starship Troopers in 1997.
It has been one of my guilty pleasures of all time because it's not a great written movie. Visually, it's fantastic, but written, no, it's very cheesy, and I think it means to be that way. But I will watch it anytime it's on.
It's Robert Heinlein, the author's intent.
Right.
It's really a treatise on fascism to consider, as well as communism, I guess. In the insects are sort of, a hive mind. And,
right.
But it's a fascinating work. Of course, the Klendathu insects, or arachnids, or bugs as they're called, were primarily designed by the great Phil Tippett. Now, Phil also did tons of great work for ILM and for George Lucas. He created the walkers that are so famous from the original round of Star Wars movies.
Oh, right.
He is credited as both creature designer and visual effects supervisor. And I mean, there are warrior bugs, tanker bugs, plasma bugs,
Brain
hot bugs.
bugs.
The brain bug was perhaps the most revolting.
What?
I
Oh
mean,
my God.
but really, I just thought that the bugs were, when they first came out, pretty terrifying.
They were pretty terrifying. I mean, bugs in general are just gross. And so when they're gigantic like that, yeah, the beetle bugs that shoot the fire acid or whatever
my
the heck
God.
it is, it's like, oh my God.
However, I have seen bigger bugs in the old hotels in New York City. I just want to say.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
But the Klendathu insects come close. It's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek film, but really, again, a major monster alien effects tour de force.
Yeah.
1997 Starship Troopers
Yep.
by the great Paul Verhoeven. I did
Okay.
want to mention that working with Phil was creature designer Craig Hayes, who had a lot of impact on some of the creature designs. And actually, it was Tippett Studios, not ILM, that handled the digital models and the animation. It was groundbreaking for large-scale CGI creature battles for 1997. So great job.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, number
15.
Well, this is not too long ago. Once again, living up in Santa Clarita, little did I know that just north of me in Aqua Dulce, there was an alien lurking in the clouds. Literally 5 miles north of me, Aqua Dulce, Vasquez Rocks.
Wow.
Here lurked Jean Jacket from
Jean Jacket Alien.
Nope.
Nope.
What a great film, Kit.
Yeah, Jordan Peele really, I mean, he came out the gate with Get Out, which was just something that no one really knew what was going to be what it was, and then he follows it up with Nope, which alone the title alone cracks me up. It's like Nope. But once we figure out, so for him, Jordan Peele I guess is a huge horror fan. I mean, he grew up watching horror movies, and he says, black people watching horror movies are different from other people watching horror movies. They stand up, they yell up the screen, they go, "Oh hell no, you got to get out!" That kind of stuff. So he's taking on the alien genre with that in mind. With the great Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya as brother and sister on this ranch, on this farm ranch that they work with animals, or mostly horses, and they do handling for movies and stuff. So they bring the horses on that. Anyway, what horrified me the most about this particular alien is that you think it's a spaceship.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's basically a giant mouth or butthole or something. I don't know what it is, but it's an alien thing. It's just horrifying.
First, he teases us with those kids
pretending
that they're aliens in that barn or that building. And then, of course, we think that it's a UFO until, it starts dumping blood and, metal and stuff, spraying it all over the houses. And but finally, as it unfolds into this angelic, animalistic form, this predatory form, it's really amazing. And John O'Connor is the principal concept artist and creature designer. Really, I think, created a very different and memorable alien. I just think the film is, so crazy. And then there's also Guillaume Rocheron, who is the visual effects supervisor, also had a lot to do with it. And then MPC, which is Moving Picture Company, did the final CGI model and animation work, particularly the transition between the saucer form and its final kind of biblical angel kite sail configuration.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Peele and O'Connor, they were kind of drawing their inspiration from sea creatures like jellyfish, sand dollars, deep sea predators. as well as angelic imagery. So really quite a tour de force, incredible story, great script.
Yes.
Jordan Peele.
Check him out, man. He's a great filmmaker. One to watch for sure.
Okay.
So we're on
Next.
14.
And it's the great David Twohy with a series of Pitch Black universe films.
Yes.
The great Vin Diesel. And from the original Pitch Black, which also featured Claudia Black, those Bioraptors, kid.
I know. So they're a little, we're kind of harking back to a little bit to a Starship Troopers kind of feel, where these things, but they only come out at night, obviously. That's the whole part about Pitch Black. So this sort of ragtag team of mercenaries, crash land on this planet, and they're or bounty hunters. I don't know exactly what they were, but they have the Vin Diesel, who is, sort of the bad guy that they're harboring or taking back to, to get persecuted or whatever. And he has this vision where he can see in the dark or whatever. So they're on this planet and it's bright as can day. And they're like, okay, we got to hurry up and fix the ship. We got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they can see they can see it getting, there's going to be a giant eclipse happening, and they don't quite know what's going to happen to them when it becomes pitch black. They sure find out, though, don't they?
Great concept. And David Twohy, who, that wonderful director who attended quite a few Fangoria Weekend of Horror shows.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He sure did. Even Vin came in one time, which was amazing. We did have Vin Diesel one time come in to promote the second Pitch Black film, which was, I believe, The Adventures of Riddick, the one with Carl Urban.
Yeah. Well, then it turned into kind of more of a Dune-like feel, where it goes
really
back,
great.
but it was great. Yeah.
Anyways, I want to mention that Digital Domain did the CG work for this film, but the creature designs, we're going to do a twofer because our next one up was also designed by the same creature designer, and that is the great, and I do mean great, Patrick Tatopoulos. Now, Patrick did creature designs for a lot of films, including in the Independence Day movies, Underworld, and the Pitch Black films. And Patrick really knows his way around organic creature design. I do think the Bioraptors from Pitch Black are very elegant and terrifying.
Yeah. And then what else did he do?
Well, if we're going to move on to number 13, that would be the great Slither by James Gunn. And, Nathan Fillion himself came in to promote Slither at a couple of our Fangoria shows, 2006. And Patrick designed the disgusting, slithering, long one from this film.
Played by, kind of sort of originatedly plays by Michael Rooker. It's just, he turns into a giant gelatinous, wow.
There's this one scene in the movie where this girl is infected and she's inside of like this doorway in a barn. And I think Nathan Fillion comes to the door and the girl is there. And you just see like her head and like a big like wall flesh. And he's talking to her. She says, I don't feel too good. And the next thing you know, bam, she explodes. And there's
all these little tiny slithery things come out.
Disgusting. It's so disgusting.
It was awful.
I just want to say that Patrick really, he and James Gunn had so much fun with that film. It's really such a great movie and really worthy of being, those creatures are worthy of being in our countdown. So
absolutely.
I also want to mention that there were some additional contributions in that film from the great Steve Johnson, who is another great effects designer. Steve actually designed the Species for the Species films.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And Steve, we had as a guest at several of our shows, and he provided prosthetics, animatronic elements for the creature's mid-sized forms. And did you know that Greg Nicotero, our good buddy, who of course is one of the heads of KNBFX, and also was one of the executive producers of Game of Thrones,
Walking Dead.
He's got a long Walking Dead. It's going on to have a long and illustrious history who also is, by the way, a protege of the great Tom Savini, who both Greg and Tom came to our shows many times down through the years. Greg was a protege of Tom's and worked closely with Patrick on practical and close-up shots in the film. So I just think that this is really a pretty special production, quite worthy of mention.
Absolutely. All right. We're at 12.
That would be the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
This was one of my picks. I had to pick particularly Donald Sutherland, who at the very end we think might be playing the role of not having any emotion or not doing anything. You know, at the very end of the film, his character Matthew Bennell, we're thinking, oh, maybe he's hiding out, because we come to find out from Veronica Cartwright's character that you can do that. You can walk around with these people and pretend like you're one of them when you're not. And so she comes up to him in the park and he's walking there and she thinks it's still Matthew. And she goes, Matthew, Matthew. And he just points and opens his mouth and that horrible sound comes out. And you're like, no.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Also,
those are frightening. Those are frightening aliens.
They're terrifying. And the pod people, who are sort of semi-human and or in various stages of transformation, were designed by prosthetic artist Kenneth Hall.
Right.
So great film. Next up on our list, number
11
is Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, the 1986 film. And
it's a great character. It's great in the movies and it's great on stage too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a musical first, of course, on Broadway, and it went on to be a movie. And in the film, it was Jim Henson's Creature Shop, the great Jim Henson, who did, Dark Crystal and, of course, The Muppets and so many different films, Cats and Dogs. His team, headed by Lynn Lloyd, created Audrey 2 as a full-size puppet. Had multiple size puppets, small Audrey 2, medium Audrey 2, which was operated by multiple puppeteers with rods and cables, and then large Audrey 2, which was hydraulics and animatronics controlled by puppeteers and technicians. But I also do want to mention that the great Frank Oz, whom we all know as Yoda, who also worked with Jim Henson for many years, oversaw the performance aspects of the puppets. And of course, the great Levi Stubbs was the voice of Audrey 2. I'm just a mean green thing from outer space, that whole thing. But I think it's definitely a wonderful job from the Jim Henson's Creature Shop, who also did all the creatures for Farscape, for you Farscape fans out there.
Yeah.
So
you guys used to run conventions for that as well.
He's cartoonish yet menacing, but they were balancing comedic performance and rather threatening presence for comedic elements. Okay. Next up.
It's number 10.
It's the Cybertronians, the Transformers from the Transformers series, starting in 2007. Of course, Michael Bay's incredible series. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these robot and Transformer designs, the lead concept designer was Ben Proctor. He came up with the initial concept art for the Autobots and Decepticons and worked with Michael Bay to maintain kind of recognizable vehicle modes, which translated into these complex robotic forms. And then working with Scott Benza, who was the lead visual designer and mechanical designer, he kind of focused on the intricate mechanical details, transformation sequences, and realistic machinery integration. So the transformations look physically plausible.
Did they start out as was it a comic book? How did the Transformers?
They were toy creations.
Toys first.
From Hasbro, yep. So I want to mention that both Digital Domain and Industrial Light and Magic, in the case of ILM, Feng Zhu leading the team, they both added 3D and digital contributions to the films. There was some practical work as well. And these robots clearly each has a unique silhouette and personality that matches its role in the story.
Yeah. And I loved when they would turn into the vehicles.
Pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Next, we're at number 9.
Well, if you were a kid in New York in the 60s, growing up and watching Million Dollar Movie or various creature feature or Zachary on TV, running kind of the sci-fi films and the horror films from the 50s, I think the film that might have been the most terrifying to us was 1958's It, the Terror from Beyond Space. And in this film, I mean, which by the way inspired Ridley Scott to create Alien, it was a
Oh,
inspiration for Alien. This creature was so terrifying because he was created by the great, and I do mean great, Paul Blaisdell. Paul created the creature from the Black Lagoon.
which
His
is another one. Yes, I love that one too.
He
Yeah.
had rubberized limbs, clawed hands, and a grotesque head. It was all practical. And I mean, they showed him in shadows, but this practical suit was simple but menacing, although difficult to wear. And the actor in it had to kind of get in and out of it quite a bit because
Yeah.
it was really pretty tough. But basically, he's a monster stowaway on board a spaceship that landed on Mars and is working his way up various levels of the ship until they're finally able to suffocate it by opening up the airlocks of the ship at the end
Oh,
of the movie. But I mean, it's pretty terrifying when you see the shadow of it kind of ripping a person apart and then chomping on their chops. It's pretty scary. So, The Terror from Beyond Space, which inspired a generation of filmmakers, including Ridley Scott.
all right. Speaking of
Heck.
Mars, we're at the number 8.
And that brings us to 1996's Mars Attacks by Tim Burton. But for those of you of a certain age, you know that we grew up with the Topps Mars Attacks cards, which were incredible.
Right.
Sorry, I don't have the name of the artist. I know Wally Wood was one of them that designed these incredible card paintings. In this story, Mars attacks Earth, and it's one atrocity after another, Kit. It's destroying a dog, it's Beauty and the Beast. He grabs girls. There's saucers over China. There's the aliens invade Parliament, burning human flesh. I mean, it's a disaster on Earth until finally Earth rallies, sends us back to Mars, and then we're dropping nukes on Mars and we win. But I mean, it's a great card set when you're like, when you're like 10 years old and you got these cards where Martians are like incinerating people. They're like death ray, and like the person is standing there, half of them is like, and then the other half is a skeleton. It's really pretty fantastic stuff. Anyway, Tim Burton, who we know is incredibly talented and creative, but also has, I think, a little sadistic streak.
You
I,
think? He's
I
a
think
little
this
mean
film
spirited.
definitely
He's very dark. It's a
yeah,
very dark individual.
1996, so there is some CG in it, but a lot of practical work by the great, and we have to always mention him because he's one of the great creature designers, the great Rick Baker.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'll just quickly say that before we moved into 217 Kenwood, which is the creation offices before we moved to Brand, where we are now, before we moved into Kenwood and we were looking at offices, we were asked if we wanted to check out an office, and we go to there and we walk in the door and there's a giant glass case with Muddy Joe Young's head, Rick Baker's giant Muddy Joe Young prosthetic head.
Oh,
We were being
wow.
offered Rick Baker's studio. Baker was moving out of it. You should have seen the condition of the studio. There were holes in the walls everywhere. I don't know what he did in there. Place was a disaster. We didn't move in there, but that's how we knew that it was Rick Baker's. Anyway, Rick is a legendary designer who graced the creation stages many times. In fact, Rick first came to a creation event, Telefantasy, in 1976, where the great Adam Malin had to pick him up at JFK Airport. And as typical of my faux pas throughout my career, I pick him up. We're driving on the Van Wyck Expressway. I get a flat tire. And now Rick has this big case full of his creature designs from the Incredible Melting Man. We have to get out of the car, climb over these crash barriers on Van Wyck Expressway, throw his case with the prosthetics over onto the surface street so that we can call a taxi. I'm
Oh
sure
my God.
Rick hated me after that, but I've admired his career. He, Oscar winner, and he created these iconic oversized heads for Mars Attacks, the skeletal faces, these tiny bodies. Um, Very faithful to the Topps trading cards that inspired the film.
Right.
Now, I mean, Tim Burton collaborated quite a bit on the visual style, ensuring that they kind of match the film's very dark comedic tone, and
Right.
some wonderful digital work by ILM, who enhanced the Martians for flying sequences, weapons effects, and some amazing animations. And then there was Paul Houston and his crew that assisted with puppet and animatronic versions for close-up expressions. So big team effort, notorious film. I mean, Jack Nicholson, a whole bunch of great actors and actresses. Pierce Brosnan,
Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty wacky film. But I think it really does match the 1962 Topps trading cards, and it's a worthy adaptation. Okay.
All right. We're at number 7. Are we going to start talking about our kinder aliens?
Yeah, we got some kinder aliens, and of course, we couldn't really do this without at least paying homage to 1982's E.T. by the great Steven Spielberg.
And you'd be a monster if you didn't cry in that movie. A monster, I tell you.
Carlo Rambaldi, who was kind of the effects designer, he's an Italian special effects legend. Carlo's work failed on a number of different films. He had some failures on Dino De Laurentiis's King Kong with a big Kong hand that didn't work. He had some problems with E.T. He had some problems on the aliens in Dune that he did for David Lynch.
Yeah.
But still, for his time, an Italian special effects legend who kind of designed the aliens' appearance, facial expression, and animatronics, focusing on making E.T. expressive and sympathetic and childlike. And so I think he pretty much designed the goods.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, Jim Henson's Muppet Workshop, I think before it was considered the Creature Shop, assisted in mechanical design and puppetry techniques. And also the great John Chambers, who designed the facial makeups of the apes from Planet of the Apes films in the 60s, along with a liaison of his, Donovan Cook, helped coordinate animatronic puppetry. And Spielberg, of course, offered creative put on the designs as well. So Carlo Rambaldi, the Jim Henson's Muppet Workshop, John Chambers, pretty impressive group of artisans on the film.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're at number 6.
And another Spielberg epic, which is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, Those Wonderful Alien Greys. I mean, it was a great movie. It was a cultural thing at the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, that's another film that's so great because it's talking about aliens seeing UFOs and that kind of thing, and who believes who, and and the idea that this is actually really a true thing, and that for whatever reason these aliens kind of connect to the few who on Earth who they want to come see them on the giant, but the mountain or whatever. But really the best part is when he's gonna go onto the ship and you see all the little tiny alien people coming out, and they're just as curious with everybody else as we are with them. And then the big I guess I always thought it was a mom figure of some kind, the big mom alien who comes out and says, okay, it's time to go, and and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really visually one of the most amazing films for its time.
Interestingly enough, Carlo Rambaldi once again delivering the final design of the alien beings, their large bald heads and big expressive eyes. There were mechanical and animatronic components. This is before CG.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly enough, the Muppets puppet team, again, working with Rambaldi, and kind of the design philosophy based on the sort of classic alien grays from popular culture.
Yes.
It really felt like an event film at the time.
It was an event film, for sure. And it holds up. It holds up.
Yeah.
It's one of those films it's timeless. You can literally watch it and still,
Richard Dreyfuss is unbelievable in the film. I mean, and then they released the special edition, which they added some additional footage to and got to show us a little bit of him kind of going in the ship.
Yeah.
And we'll always have a soft spot for that film, for sure. Yeah.
All right, we're at 5 now.
All right, these
5.
aliens were scary, but they were the good guys, and that's the prawns from District 9 by the great Neil Blomkamp.
Yep.
For those of you that are not familiar with it, Neil also has a digital animation studio, Oat Studios. You can find shorts that they did on YouTube and online that are really fantastic.
Yeah.
He also worked with Weta Workshop on this film with Terrell Whitlatch, who had a lot of influence on the concept design. And, for 2009, I think a very photorealistic looking film.
Yeah.
Neil kind of oversaw the design, and he wanted these aliens to be insectoid, but sort of grounded in biology. By the way, Terrell, who did creature designs for Star Wars, offered concept sketches and anatomical plausibility.
Yeah.
And then they brought in none other than Peter Jackson's Weta Workshop. They helped develop physical models, textures, and sort of biomechanical details.
But of course, yeah, I mean, Sharlto Copley, kind of his first film, the first one that we, paid attention
So great.
to. So great. And you just get such a sad feeling for these people because they become, become the immigrants of some kind.
He ends up transforming into them. So right. It's amazing. And of course, all the metaphors for apartheid in South Africa, but Neil coming from South Africa, there's all of those kind of metaphors. And I should also mention that Sharlto, who's so amazing, was terrifying in Matt Damon's Elysium.
Yes. Yes, he was.
I mean,
he was.
He's an amazing actor.
Yeah, he's really good.
And him transforming into a prawn, I think, was, fascinating. Okay.
All right, we're at 4.
You can't,
probably one of my favorites.
You can't have aliens without mentioning Galaxy Quest. The Thermians.
The Thermians.
It's once again our buddy Rick Baker. And then Rick Baker working with Steve Johnson, two effects legends with some digital enhancements.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they were hilarious. And, when they're like walking around and trying to, can you find my other shoe for me? And they're like going, I don't.
1999. I mean, I think the movie still holds up really great.
Yeah, we had a great pop up with them a couple of years ago at our Star Trek show, and I had the great pleasure of moderating the panel with the Thermians, and it was a lot of fun.
Wonderful! You did a great job. That was a great panel, and of course, I mean, Sigourney Weaver and Tim Allen. I mean,
Alan Rickman. Yeah,
great Alan Rickman, Tony Shalhoub, I believe.
Yep.
It's an all-star cast and very, very close to genre fans' hearts for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We're at 3 now. Counting down.
And we're back to amazing Denis Villeneuve, an incredible film, Arrival. 2016's Arrival, the great Denis Villeneuve with Amy Adams and those incredible aliens, the heptapods.
Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, that whole film is so eerie, but also just, sort of beautiful in a way that it's shot and her going up and, she's a linguist of some kind and she's been brought in to try to communicate with these aliens who are there only to sort of, give her a kind of a prophecy, sort of a, forward looking what's happening in the future kind of thing. But just the way the whole concept of them behind this glass, big giant glass window, and they're sort of, then they come in and out of what looks like fog. It's just so beautiful.
But these aliens, I think really they were trying to teach her to view time and space in a non-linear fashion.
Right.
They developed a unique language, a circular symbolic language that she somehow learned to decipher because she's kind of like a language person.
Right.
These 7-limbed cephalopod-like creatures with bioluminescent textures, they have an organic quality that really seems familiar. I really think that Denis Villeneuve, he he wanted them to be non-threatening and enigmatic. And they brought in a wonderful visual designer, Bernard Chu, who
Yeah.
created the Alien Anatomy based on Denis' inspiration. And they also brought in Neville Page, who was consultant on creature behavior and physicality to make the movements more believable. And then
Right.
ultimately, the great team at ILM rendered these heptapods.
Yeah.
So uh,
They were beautiful.
organic, flowing shapes, realistic within a sci-fi context. And I just think it's, showed us early on just what an amazing talent Denny is and the people
Yes.
he surrounds himself with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. We're down to our last two. What do you got?
We have some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
There's a pantheon of creatures from Star Wars and Star Trek that we all know and love. Just not enough time now to get into them. But from Star Trek, of course, a lot of creatures from Projects Unlimited, the same company that did a lot of the monsters for 1960s Outer Limits. You had the Mugathu and Gorn and the Salt Vampire. I mean, there were a lot of great creatures from Star Trek in that era.
Yeah.
And of course, Star Wars, an endless list of creatures, originally prosthetic and animatronic, some designed by Rick Baker, in fact, but then ultimately rendered digitally. But also recently, there was a whole bevy of creatures on Noah Hawley's Alien Earth, which I
Yep.
thought were irresistible, including our buddy, the eyeball creature, Teocellus. And I always think that although doesn't look like an alien, the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey,
Yeah.
really designed.
I mean, Hal is, I mean, we'll talk about monsters later. I mean, I guess that would include technical, AI
but I
kind
mean,
of thing.
the
But yeah.
monolith is an alien, and Stanley Kubrick was definitely, who is the director and creative visionary, came up with the overall look and proportions of the monolith, working with his art department, which, by the way, included the great Douglas Trumbull. 2001 really had a look
Yeah.
at its own. I also want to mention the great Ray Harryhausen, who animated lots of creatures, both Earth and alien. But one of his great alien creatures was the Ymir from 20 Million Miles to Earth. He was supported with concept art by Winston Hibler, but Ray created the creature as a stop motion maquette. And God bless Ray, we had him at least a couple times at creation events back in the 70s. He came with his armatures and maquettes, and he actually brought Ymir to our show. And I actually had a chance to touch him. And I mean, it was, growing up in the 60s, Jason and the Argonauts, 20 Million Miles to Earth. It was pretty incredible.
So are we going to do our last two, right?
Do our last two. Before we get to number one,
Independence Day was our second one. And 1996 Independence Day, which, again,
Roland
Alien
Emmerich and Dean Devlin. Of course, we did the Electric Entertainment show for Dean this year. It was an amazing experience. And Roland and Dean created an incredible, the ultimate invasion movie with Independence Day. And I loved the Resurgence as well.
yes.
And none other than the great Patrick Tatopoulos, who created those creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. With the big eyes again, kind of the same sort of idea, but the flat heads and they were horrible.
Kind of an exoskeleton.
What do you expect from us? We expect you to die.
Right. And that wonderful exoskeleton that they were sheathed in. And of course, in particular, the great Brent Spiner, who offers some fantastic comedic support. The great Mary McDonnell, just
Will Smith, of course. What is that?
Jeff Goldblum. I mean, it's a great casts in both films. And the incredible model work blowing up the White House. I mean, it's just blowing up the U.S. Bank building in L.A. Nothing like a great, scenes of mass destruction. We sci-fi fans love
It's
it.
one of my faves too. That's another one. Oh, and Jeff Goldblum, we can't forget him either. Yeah, I mean,
We are just about out of time, Kit. We are at number one on our countdown of the top 25 aliens of sci-fi lore. It can only be the Xenomorph itself from 1979's Alien, directed by the great Ridley Scott.
So we got to start with first the face huggers, the things that go on your face to make the alien, and then you got to get to how the alien is born, which is just horrifying. I have never seen anything like that in my life in a film.
Talk about an upset stomach. Now we should pay homage to the great H.R. Giger, who was the design inspiration for the film. Giger has passed away, but I first became aware of him with 1974's Emerson, Lake and Palmer album Brain Salad Surgery that he did the cover work for, and then subsequently this volume of unbelievable, terrifying, morbid biomechanical art, the Necronomicon.
Yes.
And so Dan O'Bannon, who wrote the script, kind of conceived of this basic idea of a parasitic creature that implanted an embryo. And then Giger sort of came up with the design and concept art for the face hugger and chest burster. And then a practical special effects artist, Roger Dickon, sculpted and built the physical face hugger prop based on Giger's designs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, ultimately the chest burster runs off, and the next thing you know, he's full size and
in nanoseconds.
Terrifying creature design that we'll never forget. And of course, the way that Ridley filmed it, you didn't really know that it was humanoid until sort of the end of the movie.
Right. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I did hear this or read this. There were a few plot holes that they needed to fix. Like, why couldn't they just shoot them? And he goes, well, how about it's because their blood is acid? And they're like, yes, that works. So these things that they came up with the creature were like to fill in plot holes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing series of Alien films. They've all been incredible. A lot of incredible directors associated with them. I also thought that Alien Earth was a magnificent piece of work from Noah. The Alien franchise is one of the great sci-fi franchises of all time, and the Alien Xenomorph is just irresistible. I also loved Prometheus, kind of delving into some of the backstory. I thought was such an incredible sci-fi film.
Yeah.
But you just got to go back to the original 1979 Ridley Scott's Alien. And Ridley has guided the Alien franchise down through the years. Just, if not the greatest, one of the very greatest Alien
sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, it set the standard. It set the bar. There's no question. Set the bar.
Well, Kit, we've done our countdown of the 25 favorite aliens, and of course, there's 1,000 other aliens out there.
I know. I kept thinking, oh, we should have mentioned that one, like Species. Yeah.
So I'm encouraging our viewers to send us their lists and who we missed that they love also.
Yeah.
And we'll try and list some of those in a subsequent episode. But you can't be a sci-fi fan and not love your aliens, Kit.
No, you can't. Yeah. You just can't.
Yeah. So
this was lots of fun.
Kit, I can't thank you enough. This is basically a dream come true. And again, I want to thank all of our wonderful creation attendees and fans and creatives and celebrities that
let people know about the podcast, because we really love doing it, and like and subscribe and do all that good fun stuff. So
the thumbs up, subscribe, all of that stuff, yada yada. But Kit, it's always a pleasure working with you.
You too, Adam. You too.
All right, love you. Love you, our viewers. Thank you for everything. Thanks for a wonderful 2025. We'll see you guys in 2026, okay? Cinema Squad out. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
See? Wasn't that great? We love our aliens for sure. So absolutely let us know if we hit any of the ones that you love and any ones that we may have missed. Definitely comment below. Come back soon, subscribe, like, do all that stuff, and we're going to see you in 2026. Bye-bye, everybody.